Hello YouTube, my name's Chris, also known as SNES Professor. Back on YouTube after about, uh, I think I made this channel back in 2011. Before that, for several years, I had a channel called Crazy Games Dude, is what I was calling myself back then, while I was going to school. And, you know, since about 2007, I've had this passion about old video games, retro games, and I used to have this huge collection of games. And, when I was about 23, 24, I moved out of the house, I sold my whole collection. And, I've got my own place. I've had my own place for a while now, several years, but I'm kind of getting back into the hobby. I actually had my own house that I bought when I moved out, my parents' house, and I actually sold that earlier this year. I had a two-story house, and I was living by myself, and I decided to kind of downscale everything. Didn't need that much space. It was a lot to take care of while I was, I'm single, living by myself, working full time. So decided to kind of downsize. I actually bought a condo, which I like pretty well, at least for, the time being. And I've been working on that. It's in pretty good shape. Did a little work to the basement. This is actually kind of my game room area. And so anyway, what got me back into the hobby, just watching YouTubers that I've been watching for years, but it just kind of sparked something. And the ones I've been watching are basically part of the Metal Jesus Rocks channel, the Metal Militia. Jason and John Riggs, as well as Reggie, and those guys have all kind of got me back into the hobby. I'd really like to go to one of those game conventions sometime. I really don't like flying, but I will do it. I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and so I thought, I'm gonna start YouTube up again. I go to Goodwill all the time looking for deals, and as well as going on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. So I'm sure I'll do some videos showing off my finds. It's getting a lot harder than it used to be to find retro stuff. I remember in about 2008, I'd go on Craigslist, and there'd be somebody selling GameCube, for instance. This one time, they had a GameCube and Game Boy Color lot, and I think it was like $50. And I went there and I got a GameCube with the Game Boy player and the disc, because you need the disc for that to work, and like 2 Wavebird controllers, a couple extra controllers. About 30 GameCube games, including all the Mario Party games, Paper Mario, all the best games for the system. And then on top of that, they had, I believe, a Game Boy Advance SP with about 30, 40 games, high quality games, all the Pokemon games, stuff like that. And you just don't find those deals very often anymore, so it's getting a little bit more tricky, but you do what you can, and you come across something great every once in a while, and you're surprised by it, and that's cool. So so I thought for this first video I'd kind of just show you kind of my current retro gaming setup and some of my games. So this is the TV that I use for retro games. It's a Sharp, I believe, I want to say it's a 12-inch or 13-inch TV. Also has a VHS player. Works pretty good. It came with the remote. I just bought this on eBay recently, and that way I can watch old movies and VHS on there too, which for some reason I also like to collect sometimes. This is my Super Nintendo. It's pretty clean, works really well. I've got one extra controller at the moment, and I just bought a new computer too. It's an Alienware computer, and I like that pretty well. I haven't used it a ton yet, but here's some of my, well, this is all my games right now for the Super Nintendo. I've got Super Mario All-Stars, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island, Contra 3 The Alien Wars, F-Zero, Super Mario Kart Biometal, which is a very difficult game, Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World. I've got Super Mario World also, as well as I showed you Mario All-Stars. So this is basically just for having the label variant, having them both on one cartridge. But I've got Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2, I'm missing the third one. YLA Country Club, Super Bowling, Winter Olympic Games, and Kawasaki Superbike. And then I've also got a few manuals. I've got Double Dragon, which I don't have. I'll have to pick that up sometime since I have the manual for it. Some of these games I just don't have, but Winter Olympic Games, I do have Donkey Kong Country. I've got Super Mario World 2 I have. Yoshi's Safari I don't have. Got this one, Super Bike, Kawasaki. Super Mario Kart, I've got it, and Super Mario All-Stars have it. So that's that, as well as I just bought this recently from Goodwill, the Die Hard trilogy. It's got all 3 movies in there. As you can see here, that's why I have the VHS player on the TV. I guess I'm one of those crazy people who sees VHS tapes at Goodwill for cheap and wants to play those movies because it's a lot cheaper than buying DVDs or Blu-rays. So that's kind of it for now. I'm on the hunt looking for games, so check it out soon.